let's just sew whatever. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be making the Aries Crossbody from Knotted Threads Co. modified to be jelly vinyl and clear vinyl on the inside. This is not written in the pattern at all. This is my own modification. Shannon does have in the works the Pisces add-on pack, which will include the modified zipper panel and like top binding and stuff, but not the clear version. But I do have a cutting video if you're interested in making it this way. It's got two zippered pockets on the inside, and it comes together, honestly, I think pretty quick, but also this is the second time I've made it. I do think it's easier to top stitch the gusset out of the frosted vinyl, but I've only made the one modified version and it was fun. But yeah, so I hope you will join me in sewing this. I do have a cutting video if you're interested, and don't forget to subscribe. We're going to be making the Aries Crossbody, but with some modifications. My favorite. Delicious. Okay, I'm going to get started with the crossbody strap first. I always love to just get this out of the way. I'm using this really pretty woven webbing that I have on my website, and I think also Georgia Girl Stitches carries the same, if not similar. So to prep my strap, I cut 1.5 by 1.5 inch squares and wrapped it around the end. The woven webbing tends to fray. It's all woven cottons, so yeah. So adding that little bit to the end can help. I only have it taped on, and now I'm going to sew around it, wrapped around the slide adjuster. You do need a wide mouth slider for these woven webbings because they are thick. Well, a regular size might be good, but you definitely don't want like a slim one. Okay. And this isn't one that you would want to just rivet through because the fibers could loosen and the rivets could come out. All right, so now from there, I want the wrong side facing up. Take my clips off. We'll go through our snap hook up and over the slider. And then I'll flip that over. And then I'm just going, if you want this to be on the outside, that little accent, you absolutely can. Just wrap it kind of the other way. You can also add some glue to the woven webbing ends to help keep it from kind of coming open over time. Just like a little bit of Fabri-Tac or something there. But that is our strap completed. And you can use any size webbing you'd like, or you can make an actual crossbody strap. So let's get started with the, we already started. We're gonna move on to the strap connectors. So I have just traced the connector piece onto one piece of vinyl, and then I taped them together. I'm gonna bump my stitch length down to about a 4, and then I'm gonna start with long tails and just sew really close to that edge, really slow. And I'm lifting and readjusting as needed. So it's hard to sew a perfect rounded edge without lifting up and readjusting. So leave needle in, pivot. I'm just lifting the foot, and then we're back to where we started. And then long tails. Pull your threads to the back. Some days I can't tell if I need glasses or more sleep, because either could be correct. Okay. And then we'll start on the other one. And I'm following the inside edge of where my foot meets my inner foot meets the outer foot. Probably need to change my needle. I meant to. I wasn't sure if the jelly vinyl would kind of like sit well without interfacing, but it really does. It seems to be holding up all right, but you could always add a little piece of stabilizer in there if you need to, but keep in mind you might see it. Okay, so I'm just tying those, cutting above, and then I'll fray, just melting it. And then once you cut these, you could edge coat. You can edge coat clear and jelly vinyl. I don't know if I'm going to. I didn't on the last one, and it seemed fine. But now we want to cut these apart. And you want to cut on the pen line. Nice and slow, because I don't want to see that pen line. If you use silver marking pen, you could just wipe it away, but I used an ink pen, but I knew that I could cut it well enough that you won't see it. Okay. So there's that one. And like I said, you could use a little bit of alcohol, hand sanitizer. Carefully, just make sure you test first. I'm turning the item that I'm cutting and not necessarily my hand. Keep your blades straight. You need good scissors if you're doing a lot of cutting like this. The kitchen scissors aren't going to work. And if they do, well, it's not going to look good. You want nice, sharp blades. Okay. So now we're not going to need these till later. So we can set those aside. And like I said, if you want to, you can edge coat that. I don't think it's super necessary. So let's continue on with our exterior pieces. Well, no, I did my lining first so that I could cut my exterior. Well, so I could cut my lining to match the exterior. Okay. So we're going to take all these clear pieces and our 2 shorter zippers. You want to cut like 2 11-inch zippers. And then we've got all of our lining. Hopefully I'll say it in the beginning. Haven't filmed the beginning yet. But I don't want... Nope, I forgot it. Oh, this is not a part of the pattern, original pattern at all. There's no written instructions for this. This is all Lauren's brand of chaos. So these are cut from the main panel stabilizer. This is going to be our zipper pocket lining. And then we have our pocket top and bottom from the lining. Okay. And I've added an 1/8 inch wide double-sided tape to both sides. And then you want your zipper to extend past by a little bit on each side. Okay, there's that. There is no lining for this piece. So we're just going to sew that on 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch, whatever works for you. Okay, and then we'll press it open and top stitch. And I'm going to do one side complete first, and then I'll show you the second side. So this is going to go on the top part of the zipper, centered. Okay, and then we've got our stabilizer piece. That's our lining. Now, this does not have a flat top. I'm okay with that. I can cut it. I just wanted to make sure that we've got that curve. So I'm laying this to meet. And there is a little top curve, but I'm going to cut it off. It does not go the whole way. I'm okay with that. We don't want that. But you do want to sew the entire way. Okay. Hopefully you can see it's smaller around the sides. That's good. We can even cut this off now, this little bit of extra. And then we're going to top stitch through those layers. All right, and this is where it gets a little unorthodox, maybe. A little funky. Okay. This is not enough separated from the zipper tape to matter. But if it matters to you, you could stitch it. I just worry that the zipper going back and forth over it could break your thread over time. So what I did was I started at just under the zipper tape where we've top stitched and I back stitched, and then I'm just sewing along the edge of that lining piece. Nice and slow, very careful, because you can see this stitching. Okay, and then we're back up to the top where we've begun top stitching, not through the zipper tape, not through the teeth, just at where the tape starts on the lower part. Okay, so there's what that looks like. So again, like, if it upsets you that that is not top stitch, that little tiny piece, then do something about it, but I'm okay with it. And then we're gonna cut our zipper tape to size, trimming the excess. And this is the part, I added zipper tabs, but like, I cut them off in the end, didn't matter. So just really use your lighter so it won't fray. I have seen, I don't know if I've seen it recently, but there were people who were purchasing like a resin to help seal their zippers, so you could do that even too, just a little bit of that plastic and UV resin, cure it super quick. So that's it. Now we repeat that. We've got our lower lining panel that we're gonna peel the tape off of and add our zipper, leaving a little overhang on either side. Quarter inch, 3/8, whichever. Back stitch. Lay this flat. So you want your zipper flat. And then we're gonna flatten the clear vinyl over top. And then we'll repeat that for this top. And I did mention in my cutting video, I am using glitter instead of just straight up clear because I can't see the clear vinyl very well when I sew it. So, oh, we forgot our lining. Okay, it's only a few stitches. Be okay. Like, yeah, the first time I made this, I didn't have that, so. Center that. So all the way along the top lining piece, not your zipper lining piece. You don't have to trim off that excess. It will just add a little more support if you don't. But it is out of your seam allowance, so it could kind of move maybe over time. I don't know. And you'll see it. So we're top stitching all the way across that top edge, trimming our threads, and then we're going to top stitch through that lining piece. And I wanted to add a little woven label there. We're starting under the zipper teeth. Don't sew through the teeth unless you really want to. Going around that, keeping everything flat. And I'm watching the inside edge of my foot and the edge of my lining clear vinyl. It's like a 5/8 inch seam allowance. Okay. Okay. Now we want to make sure that these are the same size. Okay. So yeah, there's just a little bit. If you stick closer to the 3/8 inch, you'll be good. Oh, clipped a thread. But otherwise, I'm just gonna trim that down. And then keep in mind as well, you'll need to remark your center. That's okay. The bottom lining is a little bit too close to that seam allowance now, but I think it'll be okay. So that is your lining ready to go. We can also go ahead and make our zipper panel and then put the lining all together. But you definitely don't want to skip on making sure that your lining panels are the same size as your exterior. We're going to attach our zipper pull. Come on. Trying to get it in straight. There we go. You're going to attach your zipper pull and then separate the top and turn those at a 45-degree angle. Well, to make it a 90-degree angle. Making sure it kind of sits on itself. And then I just melt the side together. Keep your fingers away from it if you can. You want to just get the zipper tape melted enough that it'll stick together. Keep in mind that not all zipper tape is created equal, so yours, if you're using a particular material, may not melt very well. When I cut this piece out, I made a 1-inch mark from the end and added some double-sided tape. So I'm just peeling that off, folding the raw edge to meet the line. And then we'll add some double-sided tape for where our zipper will go. This is a single layer zipper panel. I'm not adding a lining. I didn't want way too much structure. So I'm taping where I will place the zipper, and now you'll know that your print is lined up correctly. We're going to peel that tape off. And then we'll set our tape down. Uh-oh. Okay. Zipper tape went funky for a second. I was worried. Alrighty. We're gonna start at 1/8 of an inch from that bottom edge, and I'm gonna do as close to a 3/8 as I can. And then when we get to the top, again, don't sew past the edge of your zipper panel, because you'll see those stitches later if you do. So we'll snip that off. And then it's up to you if you want to add the other side and then do this part, but we're gonna fold that down and top stitch along the side and with that panel in place. And the frosted vinyl really holds that crease nicely, so it's not fighting me like TPU can. And if you have no idea what frosted vinyl feels like, I'm going to explain it to you in a way that might sound unappealing, but it really is a fun material to use. If you have ever let Elmer's glue dry and then peel it from where you let it dry, it kind of feels like that. But like sturdier, you know, because I'm pretty sure you could just rip that. Okay, so folding that, starting at the top area, back stitch, come over to the corner, nice and slow. Leave your needle in when you pivot. Okay, and then same, get your corner, back stitch. You don't need to sew across this edge. You could if you wanted to, but it's not necessary. And this zipper panel will be facing down into the bag. It's not going to lift itself up. So you're never really going to see what's under here, but just make sure that you've got everything, you know, pretty well lightered to make sure it doesn't fray over time. Okay, we've got our center snipped, zipper ready, and then I don't have a zipper end in front of me, so what I'm gonna do, really quick, is just fold that down and sew over it. Again, this is just temporary. But this is so our zipper end, our zipper won't come off. And then we'll center this on the top of our lining and match the curve. Keeping the center together. So it's sewn across the top, and we'll repeat that on the other side. Need a stronger clip. So now we get to add the gusset. We are going to be covering the top edge of this with binding. So we're doing like a drop-in, but we're not going to have to turn things, which will be nice. So we're going to lift up one side, find those centers, line that up. And then line up the top edge. And then we'll clip everything and except for the curves yet. And so you'll see kind of like it's hard to get that curve in place, and we're just going to snip every 1/4 inch or so just to help this fabric sit nicely. Okay. And then we're going to start at 3/8 and increase ever so slightly as we go down along the bottom. Okay. Creates. You can backstitch over the zipper, and then I'm just increasing slightly past the 3/8, just slightly. And we're going to trim off the excess. Because you want the lining to be smaller. And then back to the 3/8. Super important that you go back to that 3/8. Okay, and then past the zipper is where I'm going to trim this down. If you can still see the stitching from your lining, don't cut that. But you want to cut this pretty small. If you want to top stitch this, you can, but I don't want to. I'm already going to do the exterior, and that's a fun challenge. It's fun though. But you'll see, so this is our lining now. We've got this zipper pocket here. You have the smallest gap at the zipper, but you've pretty much caught it. Like, well, you don't, but like nothing's going through there, I promise you. I don't know what could. I'm sure somebody will tell me down below what could. Okay. Find the center, clip that first. I like to add 3 to 5 clips there first. And then we'll go to the top edge, get that lined up nicely. If you're worried about things shifting, you can add a clip up at that top edge to help it from moving, because you're holding it in 2 separate directions. All right, clip. Little snips. Okay, we're opening that up, pressing the corners together, adding more clips. Again, not again, I don't know if I said it, but you can staple this together too and then cut those staples out. We're going to start at 3/8. And as we go down, slowly increase. We're getting back around that curve, going towards the top, so back to the 3/8. All right, and then we're gonna just cut. Now, your zipper panel is on top. You wanna unzip it and look in, and that is correct. Under the zipper is when we'll cut our excess. Okay. So there's our interior done. You'll see you've got these 2 big zipper pockets. They do zip in opposite directions, so if that is something that would make you upset, then when you put these together, you would have them zip in opposite directions. So you'd lay one with the zipper this way, zipper pull this way on the other side, so that when you put them together, they're zipping in the same direction. But I don't mind. I think it's okay. But you'll see, like, that zipper is right at where that zipper panel starts and stops. So it's really satisfying to see that. There's our lining. Now we can do the exterior, which is honestly a little bit simpler, but also harder because we're going to top stitch it. You can skip top stitching it, but it looks so nice top stitched, man. Okay. Name tag. And I am using a little cork tag from the Heartwood and Hide. I'm adding it at 2.5 inches up, centered. Yeah. Read it. Pulling the threads to the back, and you want to be careful with how you finish this part because you'll be able to see it inside the bag. Tie this off. You might be able to add a little bit of glue to this, maybe fray check. And then I tied them together. And then I think to make it less noticeable, just don't let it melt too much. But now we've got that attached. And we'll work on our gusset time. So this is very, very similar to the lining gusset, how you did that. We're gonna find our center and clip that. Line up the top. We are only going to stick with that 3/8 inch seam allowance for this part though. Clipping at the top. And then you'll see there's this gap here. Clip very carefully. We're not going to be trimming this seam allowance down any, so try to make it as clean as you can. So once you got those clips, we're going to push and stretch all that together. And the jelly vinyl does have some stretch. Okay. Staple if you need to, you can always remove them. 3/8 inch. All right, now I'm gonna increase my stitch length from a 4 to a 5. But baby, don't worry, you a 10. And we're gonna pull on that side seam and top stitch. This is the fun part. And we're pushing the top seam to the gusset side. very slow. Needle down, readjust. I'm using my hand to press that seam down, and I can kind of see that the seam is flat. And then around the curve, going slow, pulling, readjusting. All right, and now we're back to the top. We need to stop and admire that for a minute. Stitch length back down. And then I don't know if you're supposed to trim that down. I guess technically you could, but I think it adds some nice structure, so we won't. And then we'll line up that center clip. Stitch length back down to a 4 for construction. And then we're clipping it with the gusset side up. We'll be sewing it with the gusset up and your main panel down on the machine. So we've got that all situated, and we'll make our little snips in the curve. And we'll press down into the curve. I'm really glad I did the interior first, because I'm like, oh, I want to see it done. Okay. 3/8 inch. You do not need to use clear vinyl to line this. You can line it with standard fabric and not have a clear lining. But it's kind of fun. I'm imagining someone who's very much like out of sight, out of mind, can't find anything. Like, well, if it's clear in the bag, you can see it. All right, stitch length back up to the 5. Now, you might think one side is enough. You gotta do both. Don't make me laugh. Sorry. I'm listening to the Wicked soundtrack. Okay. So now, don't be too rough with it, but just get one little section flattened out for yourself, and then kind of move along, pulling, pressing up against the seam with your finger. Now we only got a couple stitches in, that's okay. Needle down. Slow, okay. Seam down, and again, I can see it through the material because it's, you know, kind of translucent. Press, go. Okay. Press and go. You don't have to think of it as like one giant gusset piece that's a pain in the butt to sew. You can think of it as, oh, I just need to get through this little bit. Oh, just need to get through this little bit. Oh, just that little bit, okay. And then, oh, yeah, there's another little bit I need to get through. It'll be okay. So I got through 2024. It's just a little bit. Oh, look, another little bit. Okay, and the seam should be flat against the gusset. And now we're at the end. We did it. And now we can turn the bag. It's nice. Sound right up against the mic. Okay. Okay. Then we just plop this on inside. And then it's whatever you want direction wise for the zipper to go. Yep. I'll put that inside. Line up those centers, and we are going to top stitch all the way across this. And instead of trying to flatten my seam of the gusset, I'm just pushing it, my lining gusset seam, I'm pressing inward to add bulk to that side. Centers lined up. And then we're going to be adding that band of vinyl around the top. You could make that band out of jelly vinyl. I would not do clear because we want this to kind of hide everything now. You'll see everything kind of sits in. We've got those two big zipper pockets. And then the center. Okay. And we've got a really wide piece of binding that'll go across the top. So whatever seam allowance you feel comfortable with top stitching will be fine. And again, it's going to be hidden if you use a solid vinyl. So I'm just gonna do a quarter, but if it happens to become a 3/8 or an 1/8 over moving all this, that's okay. Most important, don't throw don't sew through your zipper tape, and keep your edges lined up nicely. Now, if you wanted to, you could technically you could edge coat it if you top stitch nice enough, but no, not me. No thanks. So I've cut away some little excess spots, keeping everything kind of tucked inside. Now our binding piece is going to be a bit longer than we need it. That's okay. It's going to overlap and then get hidden by our strap connector. So that means you want to start on a side in the middle. And then we're going to just tape this, slowly removing the tape. Oh, sorry. I am setting the pen mark in the center up against the edge of the vinyl, and now we're back to where we started. You can let it overlap. Like, I can't see what I'm cutting. I hope I'm not cutting anything I shouldn't be. It's fine. Okay, and now we can peel that tape and slowly stretch this over. I find it easier to hold in my lap, so my center of gravity is a little better. We've got this little extra strip you could use to make a wristlet strap if you wanted. Okay. Okay, and then if you would like, you can cut that strip of excess to be even, because like I said, it's going to get hidden by your strap connector. But you want to make sure that it still touches so that you have an even thickness around the top edge of your bag. And just double check that it sits nicely, because like right here it's way too long on the inside, so I'm like, dang it. But that's okay. Before I put it all together, I can readjust that. Just try not to stretch your vinyl too much. There we go. Much better. But got that same problem right here. There we go. Alrighty. Now comes the terrifying part, but it's not bad. You can do it from the inside edge if you trust yourself, but I think my inside edge has gone a little too far down, so I want to top stitch from the side that's shorter, which would be my front. So I'm just going to smash the bag a bit. It'll look okay in the end. Starting where we are going to be covering it with our strap connector, and then increase your stitch length if you didn't already to about a 5. This is viewable now. We need to take some deep breaths and go slow. Make sure you're only sewing through that top layer. Needle down. Nice and straight. Needle in. Everything's flat. I'm feeling the layers underneath my hand as I sew through. So I'm straightening this, and then I've got my right hand here to press and make sure everything feels consistent. Needles down. Readjust. Hold on to those threads so they don't nest. And then you can backstitch because we're going to hide it. But you're still more than welcome to pull your threads to the back if you'd like. And knot and tie them. We'll resituate everything. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. Okay, we've caught all of our lining nicely. Okay. Okay. Now for our strap connectors, we're going to grab our D-rings, slide that through till it sits nicely, and these edges should be touching. And I'm just going to press those nice and tight up against the edge. You want the edge of the vinyl to kind of help this stand up centered. Looks good. And you can use the template markings. I'm just going to eyeball it. Okay, and then we're gonna rivet those on, and that's the bag. I still need to add a zipper end hardware piece. I just don't have one right here. But to give you an idea what the bag looks like. So it sits nicely on top. The zipper panel, if you're not a fan of how it's kind of like sitting like that, you can make this a little bit narrower, but I think it's kind of nice to have extra space because once you fill the bag, it'll get a little bit bigger. But I think it's so fun, kind of an unexpected inside of the bag. And it's a little bit easier to top stitch that frosted vinyl. It has a little bit more malleability versus a very interfaced vinyl that you might use for the regular version. So I hope you give it a try. Let me know if you do, and if not, tell me why you won't try it down below, and that's okay too. Thanks for watching. Bye. I'm honestly surprised I didn't run out. Go me.